The purpose of this recording is to illustrate two aspects that may be helpful to students during the semester test or answering the semester test in MPR 213. So what I have on my screen here is the first semester test paper that students had to fill in. And let's say that you are now sitting in front of the computer during the test, and you somewhere down in the test paper, you busy filling in the code as you should, and you'd like to simply try some other construction, some other code to see whether it works. Now, of course, you can insert a cell after a specific cell to then try the code in that cell. But there's a danger associated with that, because if you forget to erase that cell, the grader, the auto grader may then have a problem, and you may then lose marks. So we recommend that instead of doing that, you rather open a new notebook. Let's call it just a dummy notebook where you can try various things. So that's the first thing that I'd like to illustrate here. So if, let's say I'm answering this problem one notebook, this is now my test, but while I'm answering the test, I'd like to try something out, and I'd like to open a dummy notebook that I'm not going to hand in. Even if I leave it on the disk, it will not matter. So to do that, I go back to the landing page of Jupyter Notebook, which is now in this case not exactly like in the labs during the test, but at least I'm simulating I'm having a folder called MPR 213 test. That would be similar to in the computer lab. And it of course shows the file that I've opened. Since it's green here, problem one is the file I'm trying to edit now, and there's some other auxiliary files that is used in the process, and I now want to open a new dummy Jupyter Notebook. So to do that, I go to the new button. Note, not the upload button, just next to it, the new button. I click on the down arrow, and then I select Python 3. So that opens a new Jupyter Notebook called untitled.ipynb. IPYNB. And it will, if I do not give it a different name, it will simply stay with that name, and it's perfectly fine to keep this name. And now in this Jupyter Notebook, I can try out various things, and it will not affect my main program. And even if I do write some code here and I want to paste it to the main program after I've figured out that it works well, I can simply copy it to the paste buffer and paste it in the main program. And I'll also show that in a moment. By the way, in the same way, if you want to open a text file where you just want to write some notes for yourself, you're welcome to do that. Also, you can simply go back to the landing page, and you can go to new, and you can select text file, and then here you've got a text file where you can write a letter to your mother here if you want to. You can write anything in the text file, and you can save it. So I can say write anything, and I can save the file, and it'll be called untitled.txt. I can also change the name if I double click on here, but it's probably not necessary to do that in the test. But so you can make some notes for yourself in the text file if you want to. And you can also not, of course, well, to kill it, you simply click on the cross. But let's get back to now get back to our untitled .ipynb file, the one in which I'd like to try out some code. The next thing I'd like to illustrate with this video is how to write and use a function. This is extremely important, because in the electronic test that we do in MPR 213, everything except the multiple choice questions perhaps, and also those questions that deal with code that are wrong, just about everything else is based on the student having to write a function. So it is extremely important that students know how to write a function. So let's say I want to write a function that will add the two numbers 2 and 3 together. Let's say I don't know it's 5, and I also don't know that I can simply use Python as a calculator to calculate it for me. And I want to write a function that will do that for me. So to write a function, you start off with a def command, then a space, and then whatever you want to call the function. And the test, normally the function name will be prescribed. But let's just in this case use a function with the name John. Let's say the name of the function is just a name, so we can call it anything. We can call the function John, and then you need to then have a parameter list. So those are the parameter lists are all the parameters that is passed to the function by the main program. And so normally in the test and the exam, the parameters will be prescribed. So let's say I'd like to add the numbers 2 and 5, but to make it general, we'll write we'll store the 2 and the 5 in two parameter names, and let's say we store 2 in the variable called a_2. Well, actually, in the main program, we don't even need to use this name. We can use any other name in the main program. But in the function, the 2 will then be an a_2, and let's say the 3 will be an a_3. And those are the two parameters, the only two parameters in this case that I'd like to pass to my function. Then this should be enclosed in the brackets, which you can see in green. And then, importantly, there must be a colon at the end of the line. Then if I hit enter, you can see that the cursor now sits at already four spaces in from the left. So this is essential in a function. Your code inside the function should always start at least 4 characters to the left from the left hand side. What would you call it? From this line, from this ruler line on the left hand side. So now I can start the code that needs to go into the function, and let's say we call the answer that we want to calculate, let's call it a_answ, because it's just a name. We can call it anything we like. And so here we do the calculation, a_2 plus a_3. So I'd like to add these two numbers together. So this is basically the main body of my function. And then I need to return the control to the main program, and not only the control but also the answer. So I can type return a_answ, because this will then return the answer that was calculated in record 2 to the main program. And so this is the end of my function. This is how I write a function. And now, of course, we'd like to check whether this function works. And I'd also like to show you how you call a function. So so what I'm typing now in this bottom part of the cell is the main program that will call the function. Note that you normally put the function right at the top of the cell, or even at the top of your program, of your whole Jupyter notebook. But okay, in the test and the exam, of course, it's almost as if each cell is a little program on its own. So in the test and the exam, always have the function right at the top of the cell. Well, perhaps after the line that says hash, insert your code here, do not erase this line. You put your function definition just below that. Sometimes that code line may be somewhere inside the function. Then so if the definition of the function is already given to you above that line, that doesn't matter. Then you can just carry on with the part that you need to fill in below that line with the hash. The fact that there's a hash means that the Python interpreter simply do not pay any attention to that line. So in the main program here at the bottom now, I'm going to call this function to calculate for me the sum of the numbers 2 and 3. So I'm going to do that by, for instance, printing it to the screen. So I'm using the command print. And now I'm going to simply say John. And I can now, well, okay, maybe just to show you this, let me call, define two variables. AA is equal to 2 and BB is equal to 3. And then I can say John AA, comma BB. And if I now execute this whole cell, AA will be defined as 2, BB as 3 in the main program, and the print command will then call the function. So the function call is nested inside the print command, which of course is a standard command in Python. So let me run this cell, and there's the answer is 5. So clearly this works. By the way that I've written this function is actually such that I can actually pass any two other numbers to the function, and the function will return the sum of that also. So if I change AA to 5 and BB is still 3, of course 5 and 3, sum of 5 and 3 will be 8. So if I run the function, I get 8. So the important point here is that you define the function with a def space function name brackets, the parameters, and then close bracket, colon, and then the body of the function 4 spaces indented, and then the function ends with a return, and then whatever is to be returned. It's also possible to make this even shorter, because the whole calculation, let me cut it there, I can paste it in here, and then I can actually get rid of line 2. So I can actually do the actual calculation, if it can be done in a single line, I can do that in the return statement of the function, like I have here. So if I now run this code, you'll see that it'll still work and I'll still get the answer 8. Okay, and so with this then I'd like to conclude this recording.